How's it going, everybody? Bradley Clemens back again. Today I'm talking about the book Captivate by Vanessa Van Edwards. She considers it as the science of succeeding with people. And going through it, it's a very big people study, and she that she's done, and she explains then how you can use micro expressions to not necessarily to hack a conversation, to hack a situation, and to make the best come out of you and get the best possible outcome come from who it is or where you're talking to or the event that you're at. Within it, there's 3 subsets. The first one is talking about how you interact in the first 5 minutes that you meet somebody. So that initial, initial reaction, that first impression. After that, she goes into the first 5 hours, and then finally she talks about the first 5 days. So let's get right into this. In part 1, the first 5 minutes, she talks about how there's control, capture, spark, highlight, and intrigue. And controlling is simply being able to control your social game. There's different kinds of events. There's you go to a club, you could go to a bar, you could go to a library, you could go to a fitness center, a gym. There's tons of different places you could be, and there's different types of attire that goes with each one. There's different types of atmosphere that go with each one, and culture, and the overarching social concepts of what's acceptable and what's not. If you're at a gym, it'd be okay to wear sweatpants and a hoodie or yoga pants or leggings. But if you go to a wedding reception, that's probably not the case. And in this first part, you have to identify what it is you're good at, what it is you prefer, and be able to see where your strengths and weaknesses lie, so you can set yourself up to go to events that will help you succeed. After that, it's capturing, and that's being able to make that killer first impression. And there's different parts that go into it, but the big thing is here is you have to have something called the triple threat, and many people have it already. It's just identifying what that is. And that's having your body language, so how you stand, how you present yourself, your eye contact, and then using hand gestures. The more hand gestures you use, the better at communication you'll be, and the more interactive you'll seem, and the more the people that you're talking to will want to talk with you, continue being with you, and actually have a higher impression of you. After that, you have to spark a dazzling conversation, as she says, and that's being able to have conversations that aren't just cliche, that aren't just the normal. You need something that stands out and actually piques interest. And there's different conversational sparks you can use, but the big thing is here is you want to have something that breaks the social script and engages your partner, the person you're talking to respond. It could be simply, as I've talked about, I may have mentioned the book Talk Triggers. It's just bringing up different things that elicit response. The simple, how's the weather? Probably wouldn't do it. But even if you don't know what else to talk about, if you simply said something along the lines of, this is the biggest, sure seems like monsoon season is here again. I'm getting to the same action, but instead of saying just, how's the weather? Well, I looked outside and clearly it's raining. I brought in a little humor to, spark attention. Not to say that's the best way you can go about it, but there are different ways, there's different things, and the biggest thing is, find what works for you, be fully, truly yourself, and, branch out from there. After that, you have to be able to highlight, which is, in essence, you bring up the person around you that you're talking to, make them feel special, find things that are important to them or attributes that are unique to them, and highlight them. And this makes you a much more memorable person. In essence, you just replay their strengths to themselves. People love to hear about how good they are, and at times there's a place you need to do it. There's nothing wrong with making other people feel good and making others feel happy. And in fact, the more you do it, the more often they will be encouraged to bring out the best in you and the strengths in you. So it's reciprocity. You need to give some to be able to take some, and the more you make others feel good, the better off you'll be as well. After that, the last part in that first 5 minutes is intrigue, and that's how to be, as she says, ridiculously likable. Apologize there. and she uses something called thread theory. And if you've ever had to work with, piece of yarn or fabric, and there's a thread, let's say on my shirt here, and you pull it, you find that thread just keeps, going. And eventually you see that's attached to more threads. The concept is there's always one thread that you can find and grasp onto. There's different methods you can get to it, but it could be because of a similar shared interest. It could be based on a desire to learn. But bottom line is you can find that thread, and once you find that thread, follow it. Keep asking questions that pull that thread more. And the more you go into that thread, the more you'll find other threads that are connected, and things that, if it's not one that's piques your interest entirely, you can use it as a bridge to find the next. And the more you follow the threads, the greater that conversational depth will become, and the more they'll remember you because you're going deeper into, them as a person. So some very unique things there, some very unique things. But first 5 minutes doesn't just cut it, does it? So going into the next portion, the first 5 hours, she talks about decoding. And that's being able to identify hidden emotions. And this is using, this is using the micro expressions. People are very good at keeping their face to do what they want it to do. That even if you're sad, you can appear happy, or even if you're, a little upset, you can seem okay. You get the idea. People are very good at masking emotions, but there's micro expressions that tell all. Now, there's only about 7 of them that really, really stand out, and they're pretty universal to everyone. There's contempt, which this is one that if you see it, you want to jump on it right away, because contempt breeds resentment. We don't want that. But that's kind of like a kind of look. Side of the mouth is raised, eyes turn a little narrow, and body turns away. You're like, I don't really know about that. Again, that's something you want to jump on pretty quick and find out what's causing that. Happiness, I'm sure we can tell that one. It's a full genuine smile, right? It's not just with their lips. You need to see it in their eyes to know that's an actual smile. Oh, and by the way, the more you smile, the more you'll receive happiness back. Just a pro tip there. Fear. This one, it's the eyebrows flatten, the upper eyelids raise, and the mouth draws, mouth open, lips draw back. You're trying to tunnel your vision, or in essence, not tunnel, but get as much vision as you can, and you're taking a gasp of air, like along those lines, right? It can be a little confusing with surprise, because surprise, the eyebrows go all the way up, eyelids open, again, similar to the to fear, jaw drops, but the big thing is it's something along those lines. You have to look at the eyebrows. I did do the best at portraying fear, but the eyebrows, when it's excitement, go all the way up. You have a nice U going on here. When it's fear, they go up, but they stay flat. A lot of times you can tell based on what's going on, but something to keep in mind there. Again, fear, you're taking in that air, trying to catch your breath. Do you need to run? Do you need to fight? And taking as much visual of the surrounding as you can. Disgust, nose wrinkles, cheeks are raised, and the lower lip is raised. Something like, you smell something like, smells awful. Could be smell, could be what's said. Bottom line is, try and think of a nice way of responding without just showing you blatantly don't like it. Sadness. Sadness is, the opposite of happiness. Think frowns, little quiver potentially, you're sad, the eyebrows go up. Again, sadness, we're pretty fair, recognize. A lot of people do try and hide it though. So if you're looking for sadness, be sure that you see the micro expression. Don't just deny it. Don't just think, just because you saw it, and they're like, oh yeah, no. That micro expression was there. The true sadness is there, especially if it isn't genuine happiness that's showing after. It's a fake smile. Then it may be time to see, if you can help or what you can do to help them out. But moving right along, after you get to that, you have to solve their personality. And what that is, that's like speed reading, right? She talks about the big five, ocean. You have to see, you can look at their openness, their conscientiousness, their extroversion, their agreeableness, and then their neuroticism. And that's basically saying, are they open? Are they willing to share readily? Are they detail oriented? Are they more of a outgoing person? Are they more, introverted? How likely are they to say yes to things? And then finally, how much do they worry? And based on where they fall on that, you may want to change this conversation a bit. If you're a highly detailed, open person and they're introverted and not detail oriented, you may not want to just spout details upon information onto them, right? So find the match, compromise if you can, and take advantage of where you can. And if it just doesn't work, then you can always move on. From there, though, you can look at their appreciate and see the best in those people. And that's the appreciation matrix she talks about. And it's, again, just looking at to see where they really are, using your speed reading, looking at the micro expressions, looking at their personality to make up a conclusion of, how you think they react, how you think they respond. And with that, you can go further to find their primary value. And this could be something along the lines of they value information, they value status, they value money, and so they value service. You get the idea. There's different ones, and once you find what they value, you can provide that, you can provide the conversational needs that go to that. Someone values information, you provide, more information. If someone provides status, and you could, provide status. I think we all understand the point with that. And a big thing is it's just, again, as you're going through it, being sure that, don't just guess, don't take your time. When in doubt, you can always ask questions. If you don't want to be fully direct, you can ask questions about, how's your, do you have anything fun planned for the weekend? And depending on what kind of answer they give you, it'll give, they provide tons of information, or they may be an open person. If they're a little more reserved, they might not be open. If they just give you detail upon detail, they may be conscientious. You get the idea. If they're worried about something, a big event, then they might have high neuroticism. If they say, I'm not sure, whatever my friends think, then they might have high agreeableness. So there's ways to find it. It takes some time, but don't give up. The more you practice, the easier it gets. Moving to the first 5 days now, though, this is where you connect. Disclaimer here, she explains that when you talk about the next portion, this first 5 day part, only do it with people you are genuinely interested in getting to know further. Because this is talking like deep conversation, deep connection now. So if you're not genuinely interested in pursuing a relationship with this person, not just talking romantic, but just in general relationship, a connection, don't continue on. But if you are, some things that can benefit you is having a story stack. And what that is being able to pull out stories in a conversation, something that will, bring some spark to that conversation. And again, a story is a great way to build a connection. The person that's telling the story and the people that are listening end up bonding based on fMRI visuals that show the brains actually light up in corresponding areas from the person telling the story to then the people listening upon hearing it. So it does build a deep-seated root connection that's, undeniable. Everyone is able to tell stories, some easier than others, but that's why if you have a story stack, you can pull out stories based on what's the conversation about. And the thing with that is, unless it's, your absolute time to shine and talk, try not to let your stories go longer than 2, maybe 3 minutes, because you don't want to be a conversation hog. But in the end, again, with your story, you need that hook, something to catch them at the beginning. You want to have some suspense, right? A challenge overcome, a question answered, whatever it may be. Build that suspense. And at the end, have a nice closer. It could be humor, it could be the solution. But you also want to, if you can, find a way to tie it back to the people listening, your audience, whether it's one person or 10 people, so that way they can respond, provide their own stories or their own input as well. After that, if you can empower people, that is a huge benefit in your favor. And the concept behind this is, if you're in a position of authority, so to speak, you want to be able to give them the option to, or the availability, the opportunity to present their own ideas, their own findings, and make their own choices. Now, that's basically you're owning it, right? It helps others perceive you as a leader because you're not just dictating what happens. Yes, you may be in control, but you're not controlling them. So people respect that, people respond better to that, and they see you in a better light because you're always there for them, but you're not forcing it upon them. After that, we have the Franklin effect, and the concept here is, I've talked about this in other books, other reviews, is vulnerability. The more vulnerable you are, the more vulnerable others will be towards you. And it's going along the lines that the more you open up, the more others will open up. It's that reciprocity principle, the mirror effect, right? It's like I mentioned earlier, if you smile, others smile back. If you're walking down the street and you wave to someone, more often than not, they wave back. So whatever you present is what you receive quite often. So if you present a happy self, content, fulfilled, energized, others will do the same. It's the reason why popular people are popular. They go out, they show happiness, they show spunk, they show upbeat energy, and they show an interest not only in themselves, but in others, and people want to be around that because they want to have those attributes too. So the more that popular person presents it, the more they receive it back, and it just keeps growing and growing. So it's like if you think of if you ever went to a drive-thru and someone pays for the meal behind them. You get to the window, you're like, oh wow, my meal's paid for, and then they pay for the one behind them, and then so on and so on. It's a domino effect. One good action can lead to many. So get out there, make it happen. Smile, let others in. Only let others in if you actually want to have that connection though. But smile, be happy, and spread that joy. Now, there are times though when emotional turmoil does happen, and when that happens, you need to take care of the emotion before you handle the logic. I know myself, I personally struggle with that. In my last relationship, whenever things went wrong, she came to me with like a problem or a concern. I found the solution, I found the fix right away, but that didn't help anything apparently. And I was thinking, why wouldn't it help? Because if the problem is fixed, the problem is gone. Apparently, she just needed to be heard, and I've been told that before, but I truly just didn't understand it. More importantly, I didn't know how to apply it, and I thought it was a waste of time. Vanessa's one of the first ones to actually present to me an option that makes sense, and she calls it the nut job. And what that is name, understand, and then after that you can transform. So the first thing is you have to name what the fear is. This is going along the lines of your primary aim again, right? Is it information-based, status-based, money-based? Excuse me. And then once you find out which one it connects with, then you can name it. If she didn't get the promotion, is it she upset because she didn't get the promotion because of money? Is she upset she didn't get the promotion because of not getting the title, status? Is she upset she didn't get the promotion because she doesn't know why? Information. And it could be various other reasons, right? Or a little bit of both, but typically there's one main reason and potentially a secondary sub-reason, but in general, there's one main reason. Once you can name it, then you can start to understand it. And when it comes to understanding, you want to ask questions that kind of dive a little further in, right? With that said though, again, there's a high road and a low road in your brain. The low road is the emotion. It's quicker, it's faster, and that's what we're trying to take care of right now. That way our high road, our intellectual processing can take over. But before that does happen, again, we have to name it first, find out what they are afraid of. After that, you want to understand and find out what they're seeking. Find out what that person is seeking. If you can, see if they can, explain what it is that's, bothering them. Find out what, if they're upset they didn't get a promotion because they didn't get, they don't understand why they didn't get it. Their information lacking. See if they can explain that in their own words. see if they can talk to you about why they felt this way. See what caused it. Again, you want to just try and get that emotional burst out. Let them express themselves, let them feel heard. And once they start to calm down, I'm talking, no more heightened speech, nice and slow and mellow, no more frantic breathing, back to calm. That's when you can work on transforming. And at that point, transforming is talking about what does the person need. And don't go to transform until they're done, gone through the understanding process, until they've calmed down. But at the transforming process, you want to address, again, her primary value, the information, if it was that, or the status, or whatever it may be. And then you can help present ways that it can be solved. But more importantly, you want to make them feel that, you're there to help them. Say things like, how can I help? What needs to happen to make this better? What role can I play to make this better? How can I support you? Give them the control, give them the power to choose, but always be there, always be there. And the last part is attunement. And then that is simply showing interest in them, and they'll be interested in you. Again, the more you provide to them, the more you give, the more they're willing to give back. So there's a reason you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Sometimes it's important just to listen. And although this was a very insightful book for me, I've taken some different components from it. The triple threat, I've been far more aware of that when I'm teaching, when I'm presenting, and just talking in general. The nut theory, I'm going to try and use that more. That way I can be a more empathetic, understanding person. The speed reading, I'm definitely going to work on the looking for the micro expressions. So those are the 3 main takeaways. I don't like to do too many more than that, but that gives me 1 in the 5-minute section, 1 in the 5-hour section, and 1 in the 5-day section. 5 minutes, first impression, my stance, my hands, my eyes. 5 hour, looking at that micro expression, seeing if I can present and find out their ocean. And finally, then the 5-day, I'm going to work more on that nut theory, so I can be again empathetic, not just jump to the solution that I see, but help them get there and help them do it at their pace. So if you're interested, it was again Captivate by Vanessa Van Edwards. Again, the science of succeeding with people. Quite interesting read. Again, show notes, I will have the link for it. The next one I'm reading is Matthew McConaughey's Green Lights. So if you want to read along, I'll put that in the notes as well. But until next time, again, I will see you next time. Be sure to check out these books and let me know if you have anything, you recommend for me.